The galaxy had grown weary of war for decades. Star systems had burned beneath the fires of conflict. Caught in an endless cycle of alliances and betrayals, fleets clashed in vast nebulas. Planets endured bombardments and entire civilizations, balanced on the knife's edge of survival. Yet, amid this chaos, one force remained distant Earth. The cradle of humanity watched quietly from its blue world. That silence was about to shatter. In a sprawling orbital shipyard circling Terra, a new kind of warship was being born. The Hurricane-class battleship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Nearly 2 kilometers long, clad in shimmering adaptive armor plates, and bristling with weapon arrays that could level a small moon, the ship was the culmination of centuries of scientific progress and determination. Captain Alara Voss stood on the observation deck, her gaze fixed on the massive silhouette of the Hurricane as it rotated slowly against the backdrop of stars. Her crew was handpicked elite soldiers, engineers, tacticians, each one ready to write history. The Hurricane is more than a ship, she said quietly to her second-in-command, Commander Yelen Rios. It's a promise that Earth will no longer stand aside while the galaxy burns. News of the Hurricane's construction had leaked through intelligence networks, sparking waves of speculation and fear. Some saw it as Earth's recklessness, others as a beacon of hope across the spiral arms. Diplomats scrambled to decipher what this new power meant. In the command center, engineers monitored the ship's quantum reactor's engines capable of producing unimaginable energy with minimal fuel. I-systems ran simulations, perfecting battle tactics and adapting strategies on the fly. The Hurricane was not just a warship, it was a moving fortress powered by intelligence and fire. As launch day approached, tension mounted. Earth's leaders convened in the United Earth Council chamber, debating the risks and responsibilities of unleashing such a force. Admiral Linway, a veteran of countless conflicts, spoke with measured resolve. This ship is our shield and our spear. We do not seek war, but if the galaxy refuses peace, the Hurricane will be the storm that breaks the cycle. Finally, the day arrived. The Hurricane-class battleship emerged from the hangar bay, its hull gleaming under the light of Terra's sun. Thousands watched from orbiting stations and surface cities, their breaths held in silent anticipation. With a thunderous roar, the engines powered up. Lifting the giant vessel from its cradle, the ship slid into space with the grace of a predator, its sensors awakening to the vastness beyond. Captain Voss addressed her crew over the intercom. Today, we sail not just for Earth, but for every world that dreams of peace. Let the galaxy know the Hurricane is here. The first mission was clear. The colony world of Viridian was under siege by a coalition of factions bent on domination. The colony's defenses were faltering, and its people cried out for aid. As the Hurricane sped through hyperspace, news spread like wildfire. Enemy fleets scrambled to intercept, their commanders wary of the devastating power they had only just heard about. But the Hurricane-class battleship was more than firepower. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. And the galaxy was about to witness what it meant when Earth's storm arrived. The distant colony world of Viridian shuddered beneath relentless bombardment. Its once vibrant cities were scarred by explosions, and the air was thick with the scent of ozone and smoke. The defenders, a coalition of local militias and allied forces, fought bravely, but were overwhelmed by the combined might of the aggressors. Amid the chaos, the sensors aboard the Hurricane-class battleship hummed steadily. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge, eyes sharp and voice steady. We're entering Viridian's system. Prepare for orbital insertion and deploy long-range scanners. I want a full picture of the battlefield. Commander Yelen Rios tapped at his console, bringing up holographic images of the war-torn planet below. Enemy fleet positions are tightening around the northern hemisphere. Their capital ships outnumber ours by 3 to 1. Voss's expression hardened. Then will be the Hurricane in their storm, with a subtle shift of commands. The Hurricane's engines flared, maneuvering the ship into position. Its adaptive armor shimmered as it absorbed enemy sensor sweeps, masking the battleship's presence until it was delayed. Suddenly, enemy ships detected the intrusion and opened fire. Plasma beams and missile barrages streaked toward the Hurricane, but the ship's advanced shields absorbed the onslaught with ease. Return fire, Voss commanded. The Hurricane's weapon systems came alive. Railguns lanced through space, with pinpoint accuracy, cutting through enemy cruisers. Swarms of automated drones launched from the ship's hangars, intercepting missiles and disrupting enemy formations. On the planet below, the defenders caught their first glimpse of the battleship's power. As the Hurricane's weapons tore through the attacking fleets, the tide of battle shifted dramatically. Target enemy artillery positions, Voss ordered. Precision strikes only were here to save lives, not destroy the planet. With surgical precision, the battleship's energy beams obliterated enemy artillery emplacements, silencing the barrages that had threatened Viridian cities. The coalition forces on the surface rallied, inspired by the sudden shift. As enemy commanders reeled from the devastation, Captain Voss directed the ship to provide close support, unleashing salvo after salvo to break enemy lines. "Keep the pressure on," she said, her voice calm but resolute. "We cannot let them regroup." Hours passed in a relentless dance of destruction and defense. The enemy fleet suffered catastrophic losses, their ships crippled or fleeing. Viridian's defenders seized the opportunity, pushing forward with renewed vigor. In the ship's command center, Voss allowed herself a brief moment to reflect. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "The Hurricane has arrived." News of the battle spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. Allies hailed Earth's arrival as a turning point, while enemy factions whispered fears of the unstoppable new force back on Earth. Celebrations erupted. The Hurricane-class battleship had proven itself a symbol of hope and strength against overwhelming odds. But Captain Voss knew the war was far from over. The galaxy's balance had shifted, and with it, the stakes had never been higher. As the Hurricane prepared to move to its next objective, Voss glanced once more at the planet below. "We fight not for glory," she said, "but for peace, and peace will come no matter the cost." The Hurricane-class battleship had become a legend overnight. Stories of its overwhelming firepower and unyielding resilience spread across star systems, inspiring hope among allies and dread among enemies. Yet, beneath the surface of this awe, a deeper mystery intrigued the galaxy. What powered the Hurricane? How could one ship change the tides of war so decisively? In the bowels of the ship, Captain Alara Voss convened a meeting with her top officers and scientists. The room hummed with anticipation as Dr. Marek Solis, the lead engineer, prepared to reveal the secret behind the ship's unprecedented capabilities. "The heart of the Hurricane is its quantum reactor," Marek began, eyes gleaming with pride. "Unlike traditional fusion engines, this reactor taps into quantum fluctuations, producing energy at a scale previously thought impossible. It provides near limitless power with remarkable efficiency." Commander Yelen Rios leaned forward. "That explains the endurance. But what about its defensive systems? We've seen shields that adapt and regenerate faster than anything in known technology." Marek nodded. "That's the next breakthrough, the adaptive armor. It's composed of nanolayer materials that can respond to incoming threats in real time. When energy weapons strike, the armor redistributes the force, absorbing and dissipating damage. Physical impacts trigger a self-healing process." The officers exchanged impressed glances. "And the ship's AI?" Voss asked. "How does it coordinate so seamlessly?" Solis smiled. "The AI, called Argus, is a quantum neural network capable of analyzing thousands of variables simultaneously. It anticipates enemy tactics, adjusts our strategies mid-battle, and optimizes energy distribution. It's like having 1,000 minds working in perfect harmony." This blend of cutting-edge technology was Earth's answer to decades of war. Weapon designed not just to destroy, but to survive and adapt. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, enemy factions scrambled to decipher these secrets. Intelligence operatives risked everything to gather data. But the Hurricane systems were protected by multiple layers of encryption and quantum firewalls. In the consortium's command chambers, Admiral Calix growled in frustration. "How can one ship dominate our fleets? Our most advanced vessels are no match." His advisors proposed desperate measures, experimental weapons, coordinated strikes, and sabotage attempts. Yet each effort was met with failure, the Hurricane seeming always one step ahead. On the Coalition side, Earth's allies marveled at the ship's potential. Scientists from multiple species collaborated with Terran engineers, eager to learn from the breakthroughs, but Captain Voss kept her focus sharp. "Technology is only as good as those who wield it," she reminded her crew. "We must stay vigilant, innovate constantly, and never underestimate the enemy's resolve." The Hurricane continued its campaign, striking key enemy supply lines and defending vulnerable colonies. Each victory underscored the ship's importance not just as a weapon, but as a symbol of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. In quiet moments, Voss reflected on the weight of responsibility. The Hurricane was more than steel and circuits, it was a beacon of hope for millions. And as the galaxy watched, the storm it carried only grew stronger. The galaxy had been rattled by the Hurricane-class battleship's sudden and overwhelming impact. Enemy factions, once confident in their dominance, now faced a force unlike any before. The rumors of Earth's unstoppable weapons spread quickly, igniting panic in some quarters and steely resolve in others. In a shadowed war room deep within the heart of the consortium's flagship, Admiral Calix slammed his fist against the metal table. This cannot continue. We cannot let one ship dictate the course of this war. Around him, the leaders of the galaxy's most powerful fleets nodded grimly. They had watched their forces crumble before the Hurricane's power, and they knew the threat was real. Now, they had to act. A secret alliance was formed, codenamed the Black Talon Coalition, a coalition of the fiercest warlords, strategists, and scientists pulled together for a single purpose: to bring down the Hurricane-class battleship and reclaim their shattered dominion. General Varos, the coalition's military commander, studied star charts projected in the dim light. The Hurricane relies on its shields and mobility. We must exploit any weakness, hit it where it cannot adapt quickly. Dr. Zalara, the coalition's chief scientist, added, "We are developing a new class of weapons, phase disruptors and quantum destabilizers. These can bypass adaptive armor and interfere with the ship's quantum reactors. If deployed in unison, they could cripple the Hurricane." Admiral Calix nodded sharply. "Prepare the fleets. We will trap the Hurricane in the Arc Nebula. Its dense gas clouds will disrupt its sensors and limit maneuverability. This is our chance." Across the galaxy, agents of the Black Talon Coalition spread misinformation, aiming to confuse Earth's command and divide its allies. False signals, fake distress calls, and intercepted communications created an atmosphere of distrust and confusion. Back aboard the Hurricane, Captain Alara Voss sensed the shift. "Enemy tactics are changing," she told her officers. "They know we're coming. We must prepare for anything." The crew intensified training drills, running simulations of ambushes and electronic warfare. Argus, the ship's AI, analyzed enemy communication patterns and predicted their moves, advising on strategic countermeasures. When the Hurricane entered the Arc Nebula, the sky transformed into a swirling tapestry of stars and gas. Visibility dropped, and sensor readings flickered unpredictably. Enemy fleets emerged from the shadows, a vast armada intent on annihilation. The battle that followed was fierce and brutal. Phase disruptor weapons sent ripples through the Hurricane shields, and quantum destabilizers caused momentary power fluctuations. Yet, the battleship's crew held firm, adapting their tactics in real time. Captain Voss directed evasive maneuvers with precision, focus on disrupting their formations. Deploy drones to jam their targeting systems. "Keep us moving. If we stand still, we fall." Argus synchronized weapon fire with lightning speed, coordinating strikes against enemy command ships and missile platforms. The crew worked seamlessly, embodying the Hurricane they were named for. Despite the intense assault, the Hurricane's quantum reactors held steady, and its adaptive armor began to repair the inflicted damage. Slowly but surely, the tides turned. General Varos watched in disbelief as his armada faltered. "Pull back, regroup for another strike. The Hurricane is not invincible." But Captain Voss knew this victory was just one storm in a longer battle. "We've shown them what Earth can do," she said quietly, "but the galaxy will keep testing. U.S., we must be ready." As the Hurricane slipped away from the nebula, battered but unbroken, the galaxy realized that while the storm could be challenged, it could not be stopped. The void between star systems became a theater for one of the most brutal battles the galaxy had ever witnessed. The Black Talon Coalition, refusing to concede defeat, had amassed a fleet unlike any before, a fleet designed specifically to neutralize the Hurricane-class battleship. Its sheer size and firepower dwarfed previous engagements. Captain Alara Voss stood on the Harmony Bridge, the Hurricane's nerve center, watching the enemy fleet emerge from the darkness. Thousands of warships surrounded them, from nimble fighters to colossal dreadnoughts bristling with weapons. "Enemy fleet is deploying a wedge formation," reported Commander Yelena Rios. "They're trying to encircle us." Voss's jaw tightened. "Let them. We'll break their lines." The battle erupted in a cacophony of light and soundless explosions. Energy beams lanced through the blackness, and missile swarms weaved deadly paths toward both sides. The Hurricane unleashed its fury, its railguns piercing through enemy shields, its drones swarming to intercept missile strikes. Yet the enemy, was relentless, pressing closer with coordinated assaults. In the chaos, the Hurricane's AI, Argus, calculated a daring gambit. Captain, I recommend a concentrated strike on the Coalition's flagship. Disrupting their command could turn the tide. Voss nodded without hesitation. Make it so. The Harmony Bridge hummed with energy as the Hurricane accelerated, weaving through enemy fire. Its adaptive armor flared, absorbing heavy hits while its quantum reactors pushed the ship beyond normal limits. Enemy fighters swarmed around the Hurricane, but the ship's automated turrets and interceptor drones cut through them with precision. As the Hurricane closed in on the flagship, enemy commanders scrambled to respond. Their capital ship unleashed a devastating plasma barrage, narrowly missing the battleship but shaking its hull. Steady, Voss commanded. Prepare for counterstrike. At the perfect moment, the Hurricane fired a concentrated volley of railgun shots, ripping through the flagship's outer defenses. The ship's shields faltered, and chaos rippled through the enemy ranks. Seeing their command compromised, the Coalition's fleet faltered. Voss seized the moment to coordinate a sweeping counterattack. Target their supply vessels and command frigates, she ordered. We crippled their logistics and coordination. The battle raged for hours, the void littered with wreckage and debris. The Hurricane sustained damage, but remained unyielding, its crew working tirelessly to repair and adapt. Finally, the enemy began to retreat, their formations broken and morale shattered. As the Coalition fleet withdrew, Voss addressed her crew. Today, we showed that no force, no matter how great, can stand against unity and resolve. The victory was hard-earned but crucial. The galaxy's power balance shifted once more, and Earth's storm grew ever stronger. Yet, even in triumph, Voss knew the cost. Lives had been lost, and many worlds still cried out for peace. She looked toward the stars, knowing the war was far from over, but with the Hurricane leading the charge, humanity and its allies had become a force the galaxy could no longer ignore. The echoes of the recent battle still lingered across the war-torn systems, but the galaxy's mood was changing. Earth's Hurricane-class battleship had proven more than a mere weapon. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol of resilience in the darkest hours. Inspired by its victories, allies across the stars began to rally, their fleets reformed and strategies sharpened. Captain Alara Voss stood once again on the bridge of the Hurricane, her eyes scanning the holographic map that displayed scattered enemy outposts and supply lines. We've broken their front, she said, voice steady but filled with purpose. Now it's time to press our advantage. We cut off their resources and reclaim what's ours. Commander Yelen Rios tapped a sequence on his console, highlighting the network of supply routes fueling the Black Talon Coalition's war effort. These corridors supply their forward bases. Disrupting them will slow their advance and strain their fleets. Voss nodded. Prepare for coordinated strikes. I want long-range bombardments combined with ground raids. We cut off their veins, and the body will weaken. The Hurricane became the spearhead of a new campaign, one that was swift, calculated, and relentless. Using its advanced sensors and precision weaponry, the battleship led waves of allied ships and elite strike teams. Supply convoys were ambushed in the void, outposts were crippled by plasma and missile fire, and enemy morale began to falter. On a recently captured asteroid base, Terran Marines secured vital intel. Lieutenant Kier Malin sent a transmission. To the Hurricane, we've uncovered schematics of the enemy's next weapon, something that could tip the scales if deployed. We need immediate extraction and plans for countermeasures. Captain Voss reviewed the intel with her science officers. We must act fast. This weapon cannot be allowed to come online. Using the Hurricane's quantum AI, Argus analyzed the schematics and developed a plan to neutralize the threat before it was activated. The ship's engineering teams worked tirelessly, retrofitting drone swarms with new countermeasures and upgrading energy shields. Meanwhile, allied fleets, inspired by Earth's courage and technological edge, launched coordinated assaults on key enemy strongholds. The war's momentum shifted dramatically, as former victims of aggression became bold warriors reclaiming their homes. Across the battlefield, messages of solidarity echoed between diverse species and cultures. For peace, they declared, for a future beyond war. Yet Captain Voss remained cautious. Every victory brings new dangers. The enemy will adapt, and we must be ready. During a quiet moment on the observation deck, Voss looked out. Into the starlit expanse, the galaxy was vast, filled with both wonder and peril. As humanity stormed the Hurricane-class battleship was now a force that no faction could ignore. As the campaign pressed forward, the crew knew this was more than a fight for survival. It was a fight for hope, for justice, and for the promise that even in the darkest times, light could prevail. The war's tides had turned, but not without cost. The galaxy, once united in the hope sparked by the Hurricane-class battleship, now trembled under the weight of mistrust and hidden agendas. The Black Talon coalition had fractured, but a new threat loomed one from within. Captain Alara Voss sat in the Hurricane's war room, reviewing reports that painted a disturbing picture. Several allied worlds had suddenly gone silent, their communications cut off without warning. Supply lines that were once secure had been sabotaged, and, most alarming, intelligence suggested a high-ranking officer within their coalition might be feeding information to the enemy. Commander Yelen Rios broke the silence. Someone on the inside is betraying us, Captain. They're sabotaging our operations and risking everything we fought for. Voss's gaze hardened. Find them. Now. We cannot let this rot spread. The crew intensified their counterintelligence efforts. Argus, the ship's AI, sifted through data streams and encrypted transmissions, searching for anomalies. Every piece of information was scrutinized. Suspicion grew like a storm cloud over the Alliance. Meanwhile, the enemy seized the opportunity, launching surprise attacks that exploited the confusion on the fringes of controlled space. Outposts fell with unsettling ease. The Hurricane was called upon repeatedly to stabilize these breaches, stretching its crew to their limits. In a tense meeting, the leaders of the Allied coalition confronted the reality of internal betrayal. Trust, the fragile glue holding them together, was fraying fast. Whoever this is, they have access to our most sensitive operations, said Admiral Leora Kesh, an ally from the Arcturian fleet. They could bring everything crashing down. Captain Voss refused to let despair take hold. We fight for each other. We will root out this threat and stand stronger because of it. Their breakthrough came when Argus detected an unusual data spike emanating from the Hurricane's own communication channels. The source was unexpected. A liaison officer trusted by many, confronted with evidence. The officer confessed under interrogation, blackmailed by threats against their homeworld. They had passed limited information to the enemy. The revelation rocked the crew, but also galvanized them. Forgiveness mingled with resolve, and security protocols were tightened. The lessons were clear. Victory demanded vigilance not only in battle, but in the bonds of trust. With the traitor exposed, the Allied forces reorganized. The Hurricane led a bold counteroffensive, striking deep into enemy-held space with renewed unity and focus. The battles were fierce, but with internal threats addressed, the coalition's strength grew. Captain Voss's leadership shone brightest in these moments of crisis, reminding her crew that the true power of the Hurricane was not just in its weapons, but in the spirit of those who served aboard. As the war raged on, the galaxy watched, some with hope, others with fear, but all aware that Earth's storm was more than a ship. It was a force of will, unyielding even in the face of shadows. The galaxy had endured much. Wars had scarred planets, broken alliances, and cost lives beyond counting. But now, for the first time in decades, there was a feeling, subtle, fragile of resolution. The enemy's power had waned, fractured by defeat, exposed by betrayal, and weakened by the relentless campaign led by Earth's Hurricane-class battleship. Captain Alara Voss stood at the center of the Hurricane's bridge, watching as her crew worked quietly around her. A message had arrived, a call to action that could mark the end of the war. Deep in enemy territory, a command station known as Virel Prime remained operational. It was heavily fortified, hidden within a planetary shield, and served as the strategic heart of what was left of the Black Talon coalition. Virel Prime is their last stronghold, Commander Yelen Rios said. If we take it, they lose their ability to coordinate. Their fleets will scatter. Captain Voss nodded. Then that is where the storm ends. The plan was risky. The Hurricane would spearhead a final assault, not with brute force alone, but with precision and coordination. Allied fleets across the sector would converge on Virel Prime, supported by ground teams and infiltration units. Every system aboard the Hurricane was tested. Every crew member briefed. Failure was not an option. As the fleet jumped into position, the stars warped around them, and the Hurricane emerged on the edge of Virel Prime's orbit. What awaited them was not surprise but defiance. Enemy ships filled the space like a wall of metal, prepared to defend their last command with everything they had left. The battle that followed was unlike any before. Missiles streaked across the darkness, beam weapons lit the void like a storm. Fighters weaved between capital ships, engaging in swift, desperate duels. The Hurricane moved through it all with unshakable focus, unleashing waves of precision strikes. Its adaptive armor flaring with every impact, but holding strong inside. The Chaos, elite Terran infiltration units, guided by the Hurricane's AI, slipped through the planetary shield in stealth pods. Their mission to disable the command network and allow Allied forces to breach the planet's defenses. Every second counted. On the bridge, Captain Voss coordinated the entire operation. Hold formation, cover the infiltration teams. We don't stop until that station falls. Reports flowed in teams breaching interior corridors, disabling power relays, planting charges. Finally, a clear signal cut through the static. Command link severed. Shield generator offline. The planetary barrier surrounding Virel Prime flickered, then dropped entirely. All ships. Voss said, "This is our moment. Advance." The Allied fleet surged forward, overwhelming the now disorganized defenders. Within minutes, Virel Prime was surrounded. Realizing the battle was lost, many enemy ships powered down their weapons. Others attempted to flee, but it was over. The war had ended. In the days that followed, peace talks began. Representatives from former enemies came to the table, no longer out of fear but out of necessity and perhaps hope. The Hurricane remained in orbit, not as a threat, but as a reminder that unity could overcome destruction, and that strength used wisely could forge peace. Standing before her crew, Captain Alara Voss addressed them one final time. "You were the storm they didn't see coming, and now, because of your courage, the galaxy has a chance to heal." The Hurricane-class battleship returned to Earth not as a conqueror, but as a symbol. Its name would be written into history not for the damage it could do, but for the future it made possible. And as the stars spun on and new challenges awaited, the galaxy would always remember the day the storm came and brought with it not ruin, but the promise of peace.